Anyway, I want to talk about AOC. AOC responded. I know, right? I know. This whole force to vote thing has been a conspiracy theory promoted by people like Jimmy Dore, Nick Brana, and Brianna Joy Gray. It's been some bizarre conspiracy theory thing like QAnon, and if that offends you, go watch my full podcast, right? If that notion offends you and you're interested in hearing more, I just explained it in another segment, so go watch that. But AOC responded to this whole conspiracy theory network, and she also did the work. She got PayGo exemptions for big ticket items such as the Green New Deal or Medicare for All or anything else that would fit into that framework, right? And that is going to be very useful going into the next 2-year term, right? So AOC tweets this out. Now, obviously, right? AOC winning something that's not forcing the vote, right? But still winning something, clearly, she's a head fake. She's a liar, right? She just made tangible, palpable progress on getting legislation passed, but she's also a head fake, because that's the problem with this, is the force to vote conspiracy network is AOC has to do exactly what some random YouTuber says or else she's a liar. And that exact thing that they're saying is so vague, she has to force the vote and then something's going to happen after that. It's so vague and it's never explained. And if she does anything less than that, she's a liar. So if she makes tangible progress, she's a liar. If she even does force the vote and doesn't force it correctly or the vote fails, she's a liar. She is going to be a liar no matter what. But let's read her tweets. So, one of the first votes I ever cast broke with my party over House rules that strangled transformative legislation for working people in the climate. It was honestly terrifying. Now, CPC has pushed through critical rules changes in the House negotiations, grateful for Rep. McGovern's leadership. And again, that's what I mentioned. But I want to go on because she does mention Jimmy Dore vaguely, but she does mention him. One of the first deep lessons I learned in the House, that process is policy. Now again, this is the important fucking part that Jimmy Dore people do not understand. We can all agree with Medicare for All. What really matters is the fine print. That's why you can't fucking coalesce with fucking Republicans. Look at Josh Hawley and Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders was for $2,000 stimulus checks. Josh Hawley was for $2,000 stimulus checks week after week after week, $2,000. And then, when push came to shove, all of a sudden, by the way, Jimmy Dore was praising Josh Hawley, right? All of a sudden, Josh Hawley's like, no, only $2,000 if we repeal Section 230. What? You went for weeks out there saying that we need $2,000 checks, and now you're attaching Section 230? What? So again, process is policy. The fine print matters. And that's what AOC knows that Jimmy Dore does not know. Okay, so if you pass Medicare for All, Green New Deal, etc. with messed up process and rules, then it can be weaponized into austerity legislation by rules requiring it to have insane tax hikes or service cuts tied to it that aren't applied to others. Everyone loves to say, the NHS, Medicare for All now, the NHS. Does anyone know what the NHS has been going through over the last 5 to 10 years? They've been getting cuts over and over and over, right? And then whenever they get cut and someone fucks up because of the cuts, what do the Tories do, the right-wing party? What do? Well, they say the NHS has to be privatized. They can't handle the load. And that's the way for them to dismember it. So we need to do this, and we need to do this correctly. That is why when Jimmy Dore goes out there and says Tulsi's plan is okay, single player plus, it's okay, it's great, removes the right-wing talking point, he said. That's why that's bunk. If Jimmy Dore was actually for Medicare for All, he would not have said that, but he's not for Medicare for All. Now, am I in favor of a compromise that would get me Medicare for All or get me healthcare in some way in a compromised position? Maybe. It depends on what the compromise is. It depends on if we can get more. It depends. Everything depends on what's going on, right? But when you're campaigning for president and you compromise out of the gate, what? And that's what Jimmy Dore supported. So I'm throwing that out there. So these rule changes are a big deal, and not only on healthcare, they are a structural change in the House that will level the playing field for a full suite of flagship leadership. Legislation locks in the field for the next 2 years and establishes precedents for after. This was not easy. And it probably was much more fucking difficult because of all these force the vote dumb fucks harassing her on a daily basis. So she still managed to get a win even with the shit that she had to deal with. So here we go. You ready? You ready? Here we go. And to be 100% honest with the emoji, of course, it was hard during this to be targeted and marred as some sellout enemy of the people over a late tactical disagreement over one floor vote. Emphasis on late. You don't think AOC was thinking about this for months? Jimmy Dore said himself he came up with the idea in 2 weeks. What? Also a bummer to see figures excuse comments like F her and F anyone who protects her. That's not tone, that's violence. Who she's talking about is Jimmy Dore and Brianna Joy Gray. Jimmy Dore is the one who says that. Brianna Joy Gray is the enabler, the handler in this situation. She goes on. On one hand, I am no stranger to abusive rhetoric and know that taking knocks comes along with being an elected official. But as someone who prioritizes movement building and winning, creating something joyful that people actually want to be a part of is an important organizing principle. But let us celebrate the achievement. We need that energy and celebration to keep pushing. These rule changes are a BFD, big fucking deal, I assume. Breaking austerity mindset plus rules, especially on climate, is a major tenet of the Green New Deal. We will learn, build, uplift, and advance together. Happy New Year. So where's Jimmy Dore's tweet? Here it is. So Jimmy Dore sees that. Now Jimmy Dore is currently trending on Twitter right now. Jimmy Dore sees that. Translation: I'm voting for Nancy Pelosi again without doing what I repeatedly promised I would do. Fight for Medicare for all and force the vote. There will never be a better time to do this. I know it's immoral to not leverage power in this historic moment. Too bad. Bernie bros are mean. Listen to what Jimmy Dore says here. Well, read. I know it's immoral to not leverage power in this historic moment. You mean like the Democratic primary? When Bernie Sanders won the first 3 states and was about to become president of the United States? That was an important historic moment. And where was Jimmy Dore in that important moment fighting for healthcare? Right. He was promoting Tulsi Gabbard. And that's around the time that Tulsi Gabbard came out with single payer plus. And Jimmy was on his show saying, oh, Tulsi Gabbard's plan is kind of better than Bernie's plan. I prefer Bernie's plan, but Tulsi's plan is good too. So where was Jimmy Dore during the most important lifetime, or a fight in our lifetime, for Medicare for all? He was on the enemy team. Interesting. Interesting. Very interesting. And that's really all I have to say about that. It's so disgusting, that people are following this. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And I want to underscore, I found this tweet and I was gonna but whatever. I just drove to DC in the pouring rain during a pandemic, spending money on a room so I can fight with Jimmy Dore and the rest of the real Medicare for All activists in the next 3 days to light a fire under AOC, who I donated to every month for over a year, and I don't live in New York City. This person is spending money during a pandemic on a hotel room on a march that's only going to get like 50 people maximum, 20 most likely. Jimmy Dore is convinced. Is Jimmy Dore going to spend his $5,000 super chats on this person so that they can get their hotel covered? Nah. Jimmy Dore is going to spend those $5,000 super chats on a pool. Now, this is another really important tweet. What's more violent than denying healthcare in the middle of a deadly pandemic while watching 346K people die? Oh, right, the F word. Again, misinterpreting whatever this person says. So what I have to say here is, hard to believe people think AOC of all people is denying healthcare, but apparently 1,000, let me see. Okay, so it is 1,000 now. Literally, this is QAnon on the left. That's what this is. This is QAnon on the left. Force the vote is QAnon on the left. And if you're falling for it, shame on you. You can disagree with AOC. You can push AOC. You can have big disagreements with AOC. But when you go on a platform of nearly 900,000 YouTube subscribers and say, I'm coming for her and I'm never going to stop, that is violence. When you convince your audience that you're the only YouTuber in the world, that is violence. Okay, I'm sorry. If you are defending Jimmy Dore, you are a fucking idiot. And my tone too bad? Oh, don't tone police me. I'm so sorry for being my tone. You are a dumb motherfucker if you are carrying water for Jimmy Dore. Now, if you agree with the force the vote idea, that's fine. I have disagreements on it. I actually think forcing the vote on certain things at certain times is a good idea. Right? But if you are carrying water for Jimmy Dore, whenever someone talks about the problems with Jimmy Dore and you say it's not about Jimmy Dore, when you carry water for him, you are carrying water. You are no better than someone who carries water for Donald Trump. You are not any closer to healthcare. All you're doing is destroying your credibility and just making, just being existing on the left awful for everyone else. And, Jesus fucking Christ. Jesus fucking Christ.